Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and today I want to talk about why you must bully yourself. Now, obviously, the title of this that I'm giving this is meant in humor. It's meant to be tongue-in-cheek, but it's serious too. Now, when I'm talking about bullying, I got to define some terms here because people will go off and think I'm telling you to beat yourself up and just be cruel and mean to yourself. Of course not. I'm not even telling you to say negative things about yourself. I'm just telling you to be harder on yourself because too many people today are very easy on themselves. And I'll give you an example, even among kids. I heard someone talking about how their child was being bullied at school, and that's terrible. And then you go to find out what's actually occurring is one time, this isn't some occurrence that happens all the time. One time somebody said their shoes were ugly and they need to wear better looking shoes. That's it. Oh, is it nice? Maybe not. But was it true? Maybe so. That's what's getting called bullying today. And so this is the way you need to be with yourself in many ways. The amount of people I've seen talking about, well, I got to have a self-care day. And that sounds good. These things all sound good. The world promotes this stuff. Let me tell you something very serious here. The world does not promote things that are actually good for you. The world promotes things that sound good for you, but they end up in your destruction. I'll give you a perfect example of this. Men throughout history have been expected to have certain duties. You protect women, you protect children, you protect the vulnerable. This has been just throughout history. It's been expected. It's a natural role of a masculine man. And so if a man felt bad or wasn't having a good day, he was to suck it up and just do what he needed to do. He couldn't feel sorry for himself. He couldn't sit around. He couldn't be depressed. It wasn't even possible. You had obligations. You have duties. So you go out there and do them. Today, men are being told, well, you need to have self-care. You need to be concerned with your mental health. That sounds great on the surface, doesn't it? Don't want some man feeling bad about himself. Don't want him being depressed. But what it actually does is, when you look at what they're actually saying to do, it's to feel sorry for yourself. It's to talk about all the problems you have and how bad it is. Things that literally will make your life worse. Things that will literally lead to more depression. And watch some of my videos about depression. I've talked about this where depression's a choice. I know people don't like to hear that. They get mad. They'd love to defend their depression, which is insane to me. Why would you defend something that's hurting you? That each and every day is making you feel down and just ruining your life, wrecking your life. But people do that. They don't seem to grasp the fact that each day when they wake up and they're feeling down and depressed and they choose to stay in that state, they choose to not renew their mind, they choose to not change their thoughts and to cast down those thoughts, those imaginations that go against the high calling of Christ Jesus. That if they're not doing that, they're making a choice for that depressed state. But see, the world will promote that. The world will tell you that's perfectly reasonable, perfectly normal. You feel bad about yourself. So when I'm saying for you to bully yourself, I'm obviously not saying to beat yourself up and be nasty or negative. I'm not telling you to even say anything negative about yourself at all. I'm just saying that you need to be harder on yourself than you are today. And the average person, the vast majority of people, even people who are trying to do things and walk with God, are way too easy on themselves. And it's because we live in a world, which is good in a lot of ways, we live in a world that is very easy. There's not all the struggle there used to be. Even 150 years ago, the lives that people lived and just to exist was so rough. There's so many things that were required just for basic having clothes, having lighting, having water, having food. It took all their day. There was constant work, constant effort. They didn't have time to sit around and be depressed. They didn't have time for self-care. Because if they wasted any time doing all these trivial, soft things, they were going to have their lives destroyed and may not even survive. It was rough. Thankfully, we live in a time where it's very easy. But the reality is that easy life has created people that are soft, that are weak, and that don't do the things they are expected to do, and don't achieve the things they could do. Now, there's always exceptions, of course. And I would presume that you watching a video like this are one of those people that's going to be an exception. Because the soft average people would already clicked off this video and went off to watch something that's going to tell them, oh yeah, feel bad about yourself. Oh, be depressed. Oh, you don't need to work hard. Just work smarter. Let me give you an example of how being harder on yourself, what that actually means. That when I say to bully yourself, what I'm actually talking about. Just yesterday, I had a part of my business that I needed to do, and I didn't feel like doing it. I wasn't sad or depressed. I wasn't worn out. It's like something I didn't want to do. And so for that very reason, I did it. And it took hours of my day, but I did it because it needed to be done, and I didn't want to do it. See, that's the exact opposite of what most people do. They don't want to do something. They find an excuse, a way of justifying not doing it or putting it off. I'll do it tomorrow. But I said to myself, no, Ryan, you're not going to be weak here. You're not going to pull back. You're not going to shrink back. You're not going to do something else because you don't feel like doing this. You're going to do it. And there are times in this life, if you're going to be the greatest success you could possibly be, if you're going to actually live that abundant life that Jesus came to give you, that you're going to redeem the time because the days are evil. You are going to have to be that person who stands up and tells yourself, gives yourself a command, and actually goes and does it. You can't be the person who says, well, I can do it tomorrow. Well, I don't feel like doing it. It's Sunday. I need a day of rest. And just make all these excuses for why you're not going to be the person and not going to rise up and be that person of character and substance who does the things that are hard even when they don't feel like doing them. Because that is going to be the real divider between average people and people who are great successes. Average people put things off. Average people procrastinate. Average people tell themselves excuses and make up reasons for why they don't have to do something that is needful for their business or life. But the successful person, the ultra successful person that you're going to be, that you already are and you're already on the path of, and you're keeping down, you give yourself commands even when you don't feel like doing them. And you do them. You don't pull back. You don't make excuses like, well, okay, I'll do it, but I'm going to do it in a few hours. You just start doing it. You just go and take action. So often because I talk about the law of attraction, people want to come and say, well, so-and-so said you can just manifest things without any action at all. Well, yes, of course, that does happen sometimes, but it's not all manifestation. That's a really small percentage of manifestation that you'll have, is just things that, because you've been doing the right thing for so long, sometimes things just manifest out of nowhere. You didn't even put any effort toward them directly, but you put effort in these other areas that built up and manifested this thing for you. But that's not most of your life. That's not most of your manifestation experience. You will have to take some action. You'll take some godly, divine action that God gives you wisdom to do something, and you go do it, and it brings about the thing that you wanted. So we have to understand, we have to be a bully to ourselves, so to speak. We're not saying we're dumb. We're not saying you're stupid. We're not beating ourselves up or anything like that. Not that way. But we are a person who doesn't let ourselves pull back, doesn't let ourselves shrink back, doesn't let ourselves make excuses. We bully ourselves into doing the thing we need to do. So my friend, today, what have you been putting off? What thing have you said, well, I can do that tomorrow, or I don't really need to do that. You just know, you need to do it. You really know in your heart you need to be doing it, but you're putting it off. What is that thing, and how are you going to do it today? How are you going to do it, not just today, right now? What are you going to do? What are you going to tell yourself? Tell yourself that thing right now and go do it. Bully yourself into doing that thing and start holding yourself to a higher level of accountability where you do the things you don't want to do even when you don't want to do them. You just go about and get the best results in life. You bring all glory and honor to God because you're that person who just does things. You're just a doer. You just take action and you get the results you want in life by the glorious grace of God. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.